Hey guys, Jim Kahrs here. Just want to take a couple minutes to talk a little bit about the recap of 2024 and a little look ahead for 2025. 24 was a crazy year. I think it started with just an explosion of AI in its usability, its applicability, the need to really put some time in to learn and understand what AI is and what it can do. And I've seen a lot of folks that have done an excellent job leveraging that, and I've seen a lot that still have a ways to go. But certainly a huge change in 2024. You can't forget our crazy elections. It was one of the wildest elections that I can ever remember. I don't know if anybody else remembers anything more wild than that with the way they went, and the elections themselves, the lead up, the elections, the post elections. But we do have a new administration coming in. I'll talk about that here in a minute. 24, we started to see interest rates come down a little bit. Maybe not as aggressively as a lot of folks had thought they would. But certainly, with the interest rates coming down and the questions and the unrest around the election, things are starting to kind of pick up business-wise overall. And another thing that 24 really continued from what had been happening previously is just a consolidation and roll-up happening in the merger and acquisition world. There's more private equity companies in the industries that we work in than there ever were. That number looks to continue to keep growing, and that influence in 24 was certainly significant. Not the least of which capped off with the recent announcement here of Xerox lining up to acquire Lexmark. Which is certainly a big one, and I think we'll see more of those types of manufacturer things in the coming years. As far as 2025, the signs really do seem to be pointing towards a much higher level of confidence, and that higher confidence tends to drive a stronger economy. So I think we'll see some strength and some growth in the economy overall. We certainly have some things to keep an eye on as we come into 25. As this new administration takes office in Washington. Certainly the goal and the hope is that there will be a surge and an increase in overall economy and business spending. However, we do have to keep an eye on what happens with tariffs, because certainly many of the folks that we work with have significant ties to product coming in from other countries, certainly from China, but all over the globe. And if there are tariffs that hit hard, that's going to need to be something that we look at and we figure out how do we handle it. I think we'll also see interest rates will continue to drop, maybe not at the fast pace that it started with. There seems to be a little trepidation as far as how quickly to move on bringing interest rates down. But, I think they will continue to come down. It just we'll have to see what kind of pace that happens at. Another thing that's really going to continue, in my opinion, is we've got this shift, especially in the copy print world, and we work with a lot of folks in that market. There's been a move towards smaller, from A3 to A4, those smaller units, printer engine-based units that are significantly less expensive. So in order to hold the line on your revenues, you're going to have to sell more from an equipment standpoint. You can't just roll the current base that you have, because that system that went out at $10,000 before is probably going out now at 5 or 6, and the volumes are staying pretty similar. So hopefully on the click side you'll still wind up with similar revenues, but on the equipment side, those revenues and the gross profit margins that come from that will drop. And the sales people in the field are going to start to take a hit more than they have already. I think some have already seen that, but they have to sell more to get to the same place than they used to. So I think that's a focus that we really have to look at in that market. Then in really all the markets that we work with, this migration that we've been seeing and will continue to see to subscription-based models, that's not going to stop. I was having a conversation with my son-in-law the other day who was, asking my thoughts on what do you think about this concept of, BMW is going to charge a subscription for the use of heated seats, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it. It's something that's been a staple in certainly every high-end car, but mostly, most cars across the landscape have some level of heated seat just as a feature built in. All of a sudden now there's talking, do you charge extra for that? Well, that mindset and that concept is going to continue to pervade every industry out there. So we're going to see it more and more, certainly on the services side, where subscriptions are much easier to do, but we're going to see it more and more on the hardware side. So something to just really keep an eye in 2024 and understand that and try to stay with or ahead of that curve as best as you can. And then another thing, obviously, I talked earlier about IA. The artificial intelligence wave is really just starting. I mean, obviously, there is huge amounts of press being given right now to AI and everything that it does and can do. My experience in talking with dealers and resellers out there is that many have not really started to dive in and understand what they can use it for. And I think that's an important thing to expand in 2025. Go out there and learn what AI offers, how you can leverage it in your business, how you can increase productivity and increase your overall profitability. Right? AI is going to be a strong tool for the future, and those that learn it early will get the best leverage from that and the best overall results from it. So don't put your head in the sand and ignore AI. Dig in. I'll tell you one of the things I did in 2024 that it's a small step but kind of helpful is I started using an AI note taker for my meetings. So when I do a Teams meeting, that AI note taker is there, automatically takes all the notes, does a recap of the meeting, does a list of action items from that meeting. And that's one minor little way to increase productivity, but there's many, many more. So continue to look at that, learn it. I think it's going to be very important going forward. And then the last thing, people ask me all the time is the consolidation wave, the merger acquisition wave coming to an end. In my opinion, the answer is no. I really don't see that. And really, I'll give you two key reasons. One is that there's so much private equity in the industries that we're working in now. And their entire business model is typically built off of buy a company as a platform and then add on to it, do what they call bolt-ons or add-ons to build that to a larger company, grow it to a larger size, increase the overall profitability, and then down the road, roll that up to a larger private equity company. Typical holding period tends to be somewhere in the 5 to 10 year time frame. So, I think we will see, my prediction in 25 is we'll see probably one or two of the bigger consolidators get rolled up. We saw that, a little bit here towards the end of 24. But we'll continue to see that. But the other factor, beyond just the fact that private equity has to keep investing, the other factor is just look at the landscape of baby boomers that are business owners that are going to be looking for an exit strategy. There are lots and lots of business owners out there that are getting closer to that time period where they're going to look to cash out and then move into a retirement or move on to something else. So the consolidation, I think, is going to continue. There obviously aren't as many targets as there used to be, but I think we're going to see more and more of that activity. So, but look, in my opinion, I think 2025, there's a lot of good to look forward to. I think a strengthening economy is certainly something to look forward to. I think technology changes, where there's, as the old saying goes, where there's mystery, there's margin. So with AI and all the things that we can create some mystery around, we can create some additional sales, some additional margin. And then if we can really leverage some of those productivity tools in 2025, we can make sure that that margin drops down to bottom line profitability. So I will say, I think in 25, it's also going to be very important to be as financially savvy as you can be. Really understand your numbers, really drill into that scorecard of your financials, and focus on not just driving the top line, but how do you drive that top line also right down to the bottom line profitability. So look, I wish everybody a very happy and healthy 2025. Hard to believe we're closing the chapter here on 2024 already, but that's kind of how this works. So best of luck, and hope to see you and talk with you soon.